Hey everybody, Nancy here from American Pet Professionals. Happy Tuesday, and welcome back to another live show digging into the pet industry where we are broadcasting live from YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook as well. So, wherever you're watching from, thank you so much for watching. And if you're listening on a future podcast episode, thank you so much for listening. I'm really happy to bring on APP member today, Robyn Elman of In-Home Pet Services. Robyn,
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Super
um,
excited to be here.
yeah, I'm so happy to have you here. So, Robyn and I have known each other for quite a long time, but you haven't been on our new show. So, I'm so happy that you're here today. I know you have a lot going on, but here
Always.
on, right, here on Digging into the Pet Industry, we love to dig in. And I also love to step back a little bit and start where you began in the pet industry. So, let's step back a little bit and tell me how you got started in the pet industry and what drew you to it.
Sure. Well, like most kids, I loved animals and always wanted pets. And my dad was allergic to pets. So I was very limited on what I could have. And, you kind of love to do the things or have the things that you can't. And so I was always drawn to animals and wanting to have a pet, always wanted a dog, always wanted a cat, never could happen. And my first job right out of high school, before high school, even in junior high school, was at a pet store. And so that's my first pet industry lead in job, I guess. And I went to school for biology. Through the years, I volunteered at a zoo. I have a degree in biology and I became a zookeeper. And so that's my first kind of, I guess, into animals and wildlife, but it didn't end up working out. And I became manager of another pet store. So back into the pet industry. And while I was working there, I decided to start my own business, which is, as In-Home Pet Services sounds like, a pet sitting and dog walking business in clients' homes. And I started that while I was working at the pet store.
Amazing. And I'm thinking either your dad did you such an amazing service by not letting you have pets, right? Because it pushed you, it propelled you and said, well, I'm going to be a zoologist. I'm going to run in the pet industry. That's such a cool story. So, what year was that you started In-Home Pet Services when you were first part-time still working at the pet store?
Yeah, I think like 2001. And then I
Okay.
kind of was more official in 2002. And by 2003, I already had my corporation set up and everything like that.
Wow. Okay. So 20 years.
Yeah, and it's crazy, like over 20 years ago. That's
Yeah.
insane to me. That's insane.
That's so crazy. I feel like, when I remember when we first met, I think you had, and we're gonna get into this. I think you had like just a couple of locations and now you're like many locations. So it's pretty incredible. And when you first started pet sitting, what was it that you were like, I don't want to be in retail anymore, but I want to go into pet sitting? Why did you decide to leave the retail world?
Well, I'm not I don't love people as much as I do. Um,
Right.
so I mean, having to deal with people every day, I'm more of an animal person, and
Yeah.
I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. So I've even since when I was young, I always felt like I wanted to have my own business, and so for me, it just wasn't making me as fulfilled and happy to work so hard for somebody else's business. I wanted
Right.
to work really hard, which I did for my own business. And that's really was the ultimate goal. And I didn't leave that job until I had enough clients and enough business to be making the same amount of money that I was at the job. So I did it very safe because,
Yeah.
living in New York is so expensive.
Right.
And just say, hey, I'm gonna, people do, and that's amazing, but I'm not a big risk taker like that. So
Yeah.
it's a little more cautiously and slowly.
Yeah, but that paid off because you definitely have the success after 20 plus years in the pet industry doing what you do.
Yeah.
Maybe if you had just jumped in and didn't play it as safe, it might not have gone the way that it has gone for you. Who knows, right? But so how long was that? Was that like a year? Did it take like a year to get to full time?
A couple of, yeah, maybe a year and a half or something like
Okay.
that. It was
Okay.
pretty fast.
Okay. Okay. And so how long into running your location where you are that you decided, hey, wait a minute, I need help. I need to hire other pet sitters to help me with the clientele.
Yeah, that was pretty soon. That was
Mhm.
probably within the first year.
Oh, wow.
My first staff member, and I met her actually, she was one of the employees at the store. I didn't poach her. She just worked other hours than what she was available for that job. She worked the other hours with me. Um,
Okay.
and I think it's so important for your first staff to really be people that you know and trust. Because,
100%.
yeah, I mean, when you're first starting out and you have your first staff, whether it's employees or independent contractors, it makes such a huge difference to the clients, and it really sets like the whole everything else for future employees and people trusting you, especially when you have a business like ours where we're bringing people into clients' homes. It's
Yes.
so personal, so you have to really make sure your first few staff are just like there's no room for error, and having someone you know and trust is a lot better.
Yeah, that's such great advice and so smart. And we could talk about some of the other things that, maybe towards the end of this interview, maybe we'll circle back to this, some of the things that go on in the pet sitting world that just anybody's pet sitting now. And it's a little bit scary to me, right? But we could come back to that because this is more about you, right? So when you had a year in, you have some pet sitting employees that are helping you with your workload. When did you have the idea to franchise your business? Because when we think of franchise, we don't always think about pet sitting businesses. Like, what sparked that interest to you?
Exactly. I think it's really the clients and demand that spark the interest because you've known me for a long time. And I mean, I used to really work like 18 hours a day, morning to night, be so
Yeah.
stressed out all the time. And still, I would have clients calling and emailing and saying things like, oh, you service from here to here, but we're just the next town over. We're just on the border. We're just on the border. We're just on the border.
Yep.
And, I could be all the way out in Montauk by that saying just on the border. And I
Right.
realized there was such a need for the service, and not just the service, but the service done right, and the way we were doing
Yeah.
things. And there was no way, even hiring more staff, that I knew I can responsibly manage that going further and further. So
Yeah.
I could have just had my location and be like, okay, yeah, I have employees and staff all the way out to Suffolk County, all the way
Right.
out to Manhattan. But then what if something happens? If there's an emergency, someone's locked out, how am I, feasibly going to be able to drive everywhere
Mhm.
and do things the right way? So that really gave me the idea of having multiple locations where people own their own locations. And that kind of sparked the initial franchise idea. So it was the clients.
That's amazing. So, what I take from that also is listen to your clients, right? Because you
Mhm.
were in such high demand and more people wanted to hire you, that grew your business exponentially by listening to your clients. Because I feel like a lot of people just say no, or that no, we're not doing that. That's not something we want to do, or that's not, a goal of mine. But maybe if they actually open up a little bit and say, hey, wait a minute, let me listen, right? Let me get that feedback. So that's so cool. I actually don't think I knew that about you with the franchise story. I knew you franchise, but I didn't know how it started as far as who sparked the interest. So then you decided, okay, I'm going to franchise. How long until you started getting franchisees to sign up with you?
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, the process was a little interesting and different than what the process would be today because we didn't really have the internet. So I started franchising more like in 2004. And yeah, there was internet and AOL and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
But I had to take out books from the library. I
Oh
would like,
God.
order them online from the New York City library, go pick them up, at my
Yeah.
local branch and read about franchising, what the steps are, how to do it. Then go like just basic New York State websites and things like that. And of course, you should have a lawyer,
Yes.
do everything. And I did a lot myself that later on, should have been really done by a lawyer. And I got that changed later on. But that's how I first kind of started getting into it. But the first franchise was so hard because who wants to be your first one, right?
Right.
Who wants to join a system where there's no history of franchise
Right.
success or anything like that? So it took like 2 years for me to get my first franchise after becoming an official New York State franchise.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I definitely feel like it's easier now just based on knowing some people that
Yeah.
are franchised and they might have brick and mortar and it might have taken some legwork to get through the paperwork, right? But it didn't take 2 years for it to happen,
Yeah.
so that's kind of crazy. And so you started with that one other location, then you had 2. How many do you have today?
So today we have a much different amount than we did in 2020, early in the year,
Right.
because we lost, I think, 4 locations
Oh,
directly or indirectly due to COVID,
yeah.
where people started during COVID or mostly people that moved away
Yeah.
while COVID was happening because of family members and because of other issues or wanting to get out of the city and things like that. So we have 11 franchises now. Uh,
Okay.
so we had 4 more then. We're still very happy with 11. My whole thing wasn't to grow exponentially, worldwide or anything like that. I have ambitions, but I also wanted to keep things small and keep things really personal and, keep our quality really up because all our franchisees affect one another. Like if we have one franchise that's terrible, and they get bad reviews on Google, that's going to really affect everybody else. So we try to be really careful about our franchises, which is like our family members, and we try to really
Yeah.
have quality.
But I think it shows because you do so much for your franchisees that with the training, with everything else, that it's, like a no-brainer when people hear the name In-Home Pet Services in the New York, Long Island, Queens, Brooklyn area, right?
Yeah,
They're like, "Oh yeah," like they know.
yeah.
So I think you've done a tremendous job with that. What would you say has been, besides COVID, the biggest hurdle or struggle when it comes to running your pet sitting business, just your location, let's say?
Yeah, so I the biggest struggle for me, and I know pretty much all my franchisees as well, especially in a business like a service business, is staffing and
Yeah.
finding staff. It's really just finding good people who have the availability you're looking for. And for me, it's extra hard because we like to hire people who live in the immediate towns that they're servicing as well. So we have a much more restricted pool of people that we're drawing from because it's
Yeah.
easier for not to make people drive very far. We try to keep our rates for the clients very low so everybody can afford to use us. And that also makes it a little bit harder for us to find good people to work. And I think since COVID also, it's been very, very, very difficult to find staff more than it ever has been.
Mm,
Whatever that reason may be. I know during COVID it was hard because a lot of people were collecting unemployment.
yeah.
They were getting the money that way, and people weren't interested in working. Now I know that's different, but it's still difficult. Not impossible, but difficult.
Yeah.
Thankfully, to find really good staff. That's definitely the biggest challenge, that, hands down.
Yeah, I feel like that is always a challenge, but I can definitely see COVID and people being out of work, collecting unemployment, all the things, finding another job, doing online stuff, whatever, versus doing pet sitting. I kind of feel like a trend though, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I see more people wanting to go back to those
Mhm.
walk, be a pet sitter type of thing, right? A lot of
Yeah, I
people
think so. I think now
yeah,
people,
I don't know. I just feel like it's gonna
yeah.
be such a difference in like say the next 3 or 4 years because I feel like a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm going to, do all these amazing online things and make a ton of money," and they don't, or they're back to corporate and they're like, "Whoa, I think I need to go back to working with pets." Kind of like what you said in the beginning, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a little more rewarding having a wagging tail,
Very much.
happy to see you than a boss, down to you.
Very much.
That's really interesting. So I think the pandemic really, it affected so many of the service-based industries. And I remember during COVID, everybody calling me like, "What can we do?" Freaking out, and it was a lot. It was a lot of stress on everybody. But I commend you for even if you lost a few locations, having those 11 locations and moving forward as hard as it was and keep going. It's really such a great thing that you're still very successful in what you're doing with 11 locations. So are you looking to expand beyond the New York area? Or are you still looking to just stay local?
We have one franchise in New Jersey now, but I really would like to stay within the tri-state area.
Okay.
So it's a little easier for communicating, for traveling. We do, meetings every year with all the franchisees, sometimes twice a year, and it's nice for them to be a part of that and not having to fly in really and things like that. So I prefer to stay in the tri-state area.
Yeah, that's really cool. And can you tell me a little bit more about the culture that you have created with all of your franchises? Because I see your posts when you're like, "We're having our this, we're doing our that." Like, I feel like you're very hands on with your franchises.
Yeah, so that's one thing that's really, really important to me is support and them knowing they can text me, call me, not the clients, but the franchisees.
Right, right, right.
Anytime, any time of day, they can reach out to me and just ask questions. I'm always available for live chat and, live help over the computer and things like that. And some of our franchisees, I never hear from them. It just, some people like to just do their own thing. And
Yeah,
some of them I hear from all the time, but I try to send out weekly emails like you do, your
yeah,
weekly newsletters, just letting everybody know updates between everybody else. I try to keep everybody as close as possible, but still, like everything, everybody's busy and
yeah.
everybody's kind of focused on their own thing. It's hard still to get everybody together, even
Mhm.
whether it's just commenting on people's posts and things like that. It's still hard.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing their own thing, but I try my best to just give everyone as much support as they can. Any issues, we do online Zoom chats with everybody who wants to attend to see what everybody's up to and give them extra help and that type of thing.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. And when you're sending out that information, people are reading it, they're paying attention. They might just not respond because I
Yeah,
get that as well, right?
yeah,
I might not hear from somebody, and then somebody will say, like, to me, either on a Zoom or something, I saw all those things that you
yeah.
send, so they're paying attention. So it's really great. What is it that is unique about your pet sitting business that makes you guys stand out?
Well, we have a lot of flexibility, I guess, with clients as far as we kind of let the clients, I guess, slide on a lot. So what I mean by that is we don't charge cancellation fees. We don't have any extra charges for nights, weekends, holidays, and things like that.
Wow.
That's not to say we let people take advantage of us. We have very strict rules as far
Yeah.
as scheduling and other requirements, but we try to be flexible because we have to understand that in this business, people are spending a lot of money on their pets. And things happen sometimes, especially with COVID, whether they're homesick or their vacation gets canceled because someone they're visiting is for COVID. I don't
Yeah.
penalize and hurt people, financially because they have things that come up that can't be avoided. Of course, if people take advantage, we maybe change some policies on a case by case basis.
Yeah.
We try to be really flexible. The other thing is, I'm also, as you know, a pet CPR and first aid instructor. And we allow all our franchisees to be trained as part of their franchise. So, no charge for our franchisees. We want them to be trained. We want their staff to be trained. We do training for our staff for pet CPR and first aid certification. So, I think that's special and important and unique just to make sure we have
Yeah.
people trained. And all these years, one thing is that all myself and all of the owners of all the franchises, we attend every single new client consultation personally. We never just dole that out to staff or employees.
Yeah.
Every single client of our
That's incredible.
1,000 clients I have met personally. I've been to their home, and
Wow.
I'm the one who, that's the most important thing is taking in a new client and the first impression and getting the proper information and understanding the dog's behavior and if it's going to be a good fit. So that's one thing about us is that myself or one of the owners always do all the consultations on their own.
That's incredible, and that makes you stand out beyond any other business, I think, because you don't have owners of businesses when they're hiring somebody through an app, right? And they don't
Right,
know that person. So, you
exactly.
guys, if you're paying attention, this is what you should be doing with your pet sitting business. So that definitely makes you stand out. That's incredible. And just what you said about knowing if the behavior of the pet is going to be a good fit is really important too, because you're going to be the one assigning to that pet sitter on your staff, right? In your or each franchisee, so you'll know, oh, this dog will be fine with this person. This won't. Nope, that won't work with that person. So that's
Exactly.
really really smart. I kind of knew that you did that, but I think I forgot. That's a lot of work on your part, but that's so good, and that makes the pet parents feel so comfortable in hiring your business because you, as the owner,
Right.
came to them and understood and met them and learned about their pets. I love that.
And
And I know.
we always bring one of our staff with us to the
Okay.
consultation. So I'll have myself and one of the people that will be taking care of their pets so they can
Yeah.
see that also.
That's really incredible. And then the pet first aid and CPR. I mean, we've been talking about this forever. Like it just seems like such a no-brainer for anybody that has a pet parent, a pet professional. You should take it. I've taken your course.
Mhm.
I know I need to take it again
Yes.
soon. But it's definitely eye-opening to me because I've had dogs my whole life. I've had dogs with injuries and stuff like that. And I was like, I'll go take it. And I was like, well, damn, I learned so much. I felt stupid, I was like, I went in a little cocky thinking, I'll be fine. And all the things that I learned is really, really helped with, being a pet parent and paying attention to your dog and knowing all the signs to look for. And, part of that helped me with Cody over the summer when he had surgery. He had to have his spleen removed. And I did all the things, and then I was like, "Let me check his gums." I'm like, "Oh no, you're like white as a goat. Like you got to go to the vet." Like driving like a lunatic to get to the vet. So that saved his life. If I didn't have those skills, of really paying attention, knowing that, taking that course, and having all that stuff flush back because it does
So
flood back to you in the moment. So I love that you're still doing that. I know you've been teaching that class for such a long
yeah,
time.
since
So
2007.
holy
So
moly,
yeah,
yeah,
it's a long
yeah.
time.
Probably, like, one of the longest teachers, I think, of
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely, that's great. Well, keep going with that.
Thank you.
And I kind of answered my own question, but why do you think pet parents should learn about pet first aid and CPR?
Yeah, so anything that can happen with a pet. I mean, just like anything that can happen. Sorry, my phone
It's
often
okay.
ringing. And we mostly, by the way, get like 100 spam calls a day, which I'm sure every
Mm,
business does, which is very
yep,
motivating and takes my time. But anyway, I always say that every pet parent and pet professional should learn pet CPR and first aid because it's never meant to replace veterinarian care or anything like that, but it's mostly really being aware and taking a problem that may be minor from turning into something much more serious and really
yeah,
just knowing what to look for. And you can turn any situation around to possibly save your pet's life. And I think the biggest thing is that if you had a problem with your pet and you have no idea what to do, versus you doing everything that you know you can do, even if the pet doesn't survive, at least you knew that you tried everything that you could. And so
yep,
many things that could go wrong with our pets, right? They put everything in their mouths, they're choking on something, they get into a fight with another dog. I mean,
yeah.
a million things can happen, and it's just important to know what to do.
And I feel like it keeps you calmer in that situation, having that knowledge, 100%, right? It really keeps you calmer. It keeps you calmer at the emergency vet, all the things.
Yeah.
I know for me, it definitely kept me calmer, and it's not just because I'm in the industry and have had dogs and all the things. It's just knowing that I have that, education and learning that is really helped keep me calm. So let me ask you this: what would you say to pet parents who are thinking of hiring a pet sitter? What would you tell them to ask their pet sitters?
You always want to make sure somebody is insured or insured and bonded. That's very, very important because
Yeah,
things can happen with pets or people going into your homes. None of these things ever happen to us, but we
yeah,
get a kind of a quarterly newsletter from the insurance company, and they say different things that have happened. Maybe the pet sitter left somebody's faucet on and their house is flooded, or the apartment
okay,
downstairs is flooded, or
yeah,
a key is lost and something had to be rekeyed, or a dog bit somebody in the street. You want your pets there to be covered. Maybe they broke something accidentally in your
mhm,
home that was very valuable. It can be a million things. And you want somebody definitely to have insurance and be covered for that. So that's the first thing. You have a lot of independent people that are not insured, and it's really, really important because any pet sitter can get insurance. So it's not a difficult thing to do. So it's
yeah,
important to ask that to the pet sitter. And then you just want to know, kind of use your gut. That's what I always tell people. You can look online at reviews. We love Google for reviews because anybody could just go on, Google Maps, and anybody can write a review and it will be posted. It's not filtered out. It's not anything like that some of the
yeah,
sites do. And then when you interview someone in the house, just see how they feel. Use your gut and see if the way they do things align with what you're interested in.
mm,
If you have to have a text every day from your sitter, and a company doesn't do that, then that's not the company for you. We have certain ways we do things, and if somebody's not happy with that, then I tell them it's no problem. Like we're not forcing you to use us. There's
right.
different companies, so you just want to do something that feels right and is the right fit for you.
I love that. That's such fantastic advice. So I really appreciate you giving that information out for the pet parents watching and listening. So, as a business owner, what is the most important thing for you?
For me, is it goes back to the staff, is just really having quality staff
Mhm.
and having good systems in place. So we have a great system for our scheduling where the sitters have to check into their appointments. So we know nothing is ever forgotten. If somebody's late, we check in and say, hey, did you forget to go? Did you go to this appointment or something like that? It just really having good systems and organization in place. My whole life is organization.
Yeah.
So as a business owner, everything revolves around organization, from
Yeah.
scheduling to bookkeeping, mostly scheduling because we're dealing with, people going away, morning, afternoon, and night appointments, a large staff, doing all those appointments. And so organization really is key in just having the right systems in place.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. I mean, you couldn't be that successful without being organized.
Impossible.
Right, right. Totally. I get it. It's like how many platforms can you have? How many calendars can you have? How many things can you have? I get it. I get it. It's crazy. But it helps, right? It definitely helps. So in terms of, what is the most rewarding thing in terms of the difference you see for your pet parent clients, like after they work with you? Like what is that? What is that for you?
My favorite thing is when people are so super nervous
Oh,
for the first time they go away, and I'm telling you, at the consultation, I tell them you're going to be going away all the time. And like, okay, we'll see. I'm not
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
And they're so scared, and then they come back, and literally, as I predicted, they're emailing me constantly. We're booking like 30 dates for the year to go away. People haven't gone away in years,
Right.
like crying that they could visit their family in other countries.
Oh,
They could go away on their first vacations in forever because they were always too scared to leave their pets at home. And I commend them that they want to do the right thing for their pets, but just like in our business, we learn how to set boundaries and take care of ourselves as well. Pet owners have to take care of themselves too. We have
yeah.
people involved in rescue, and they have a lot of pets, and they're working so hard, but they're going to be no good to their pets in the long run if they don't take care of themselves too. And
Right.
I feel like I'm providing a way for people to be able to do that and to feel comfortable. And even when they're so nervous, it's kind of like the pets that are nervous when we build like a rapport and relationship and win them over. It's the
Yeah.
same with the people. Like that's the most rewarding.
I
The
love
most
that.
rewarding isn't the pets that are like, hey, I'm so happy to see you. Like I never met you before. But it's the ones that are a little more challenging to work with.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
same with people that they're nervous and then they're on board, and it's amazing. I
I
love it.
love that because that makes such a big difference in the people's lives, in the pets' lives. There's nothing like having that feeling of knowing that your pet is in safe hands and secure while you're out enjoying a vacation or visiting family or working, right? People are going back into the office. So I've always heard that when people are like, "Oh, I'd love to get a dog, but I work here." And I'm like, "Hire a pet sitter." Like
Yeah,
your
it's very
dog's gonna
simple.
sleep most of the day anyway. They just need that pet sitter. And
And
they're
people
like,
say,
"Oh."
yeah, people say, "Oh, but I don't want someone coming into my home." But they don't realize, yeah, you don't want anyone coming into your home. I agree with that. But a professional pet sitter and a professional company that's vetting their staff, that's training the staff, that's hiring animal lovers. None of my people care what you have in your house. We're not looking around.
Right.
We're not care. We don't care.
Yeah.
We're just caring for the pets. We're interested in your pet. We're interested in taking them out. And once you understand that and realize that and learn how to just hire a company or hire people that are responsible, you'll feel more comfortable. So many people say to me, well, I don't want someone coming into my house. Well, why not? You
Yeah.
have the right people, no one cares. How special are you? And your house,
Right.
you know, that you don't
And
want somebody. Like, I get it, but
yeah. And the pet sitter has a schedule, so they have a
right,
scheduled time with your pet. They're not gonna, like, dilly-dally at your house when they have 10 other clients to take care of during the day.
exactly,
So
exactly. No
people don't
one's
always think
lounging
of
around, like
right.
watching TV, whatever you're doing. They
Yeah.
have to do.
That's so true. It's so true. I feel like, people don't think of it in that context that
Yeah,
their pet sitters are freaking busy, right?
yeah,
Everybody's busy with that. So
exactly.
in your career, what is the best piece of advice that you have received?
Uh, I think it definitely has to do with setting boundaries and not having to say yes to everything.
Mhm. That's
Not
great
having to
advice.
say yes was probably, and I probably learned that at American Pet Professionals, I'm sure, at one of our meetings, that you don't always have to say yes. Like, I'm sure you talked about that. Probably where I learned
Yeah.
that from, but
Well,
it's really,
thank you, but
yeah, well,
yeah,
it's difficult.
it is.
When you're first starting a business, I'll agree, you have to say yes more than when you're established.
Right.
One of the things I help my franchisees with is learning how to set boundaries, learning that what I said before is not every person is for you. And I tell the clients that clients who are demanding different things over and over. And I say,
Mhm.
listen, this is how we do it. It's nothing against you. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. But if it's not for you, here are some other options that may be better for you. But like to just not sacrifice things to make it more difficult for your life. Because you know what? Everybody wants to be like, oh, but can we just do it this one time? Or, oh, can you just stay in this extra hour, for pick up my dog this one time? No, because everybody says that. Everybody wants it to be this one time. And then,
Right.
you have to have a life and you have to have boundaries. And I'm not saying don't go out of your way or to help clients, but this is a very demanding and very high turnover and very high burnout business.
Yeah.
Most of the companies that when I started are not around anymore.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think that setting boundaries is so important. And I agree, when you start out, you're going to say yes to a lot more, but
Yeah.
also just remember no is a complete sentence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I mean, as you get older and you're in your business longer, also know when to say no, like when to navigate. So,
Don't
um,
compromise your own policies. That's really like just
yeah,
like that's really has helped in my overall whole life as well as just
yeah.
following philosophy. Don't compromise your own policies and boundaries.
I love that. I love that. That's really great. And I would say to you, what is your advice to give someone who's thinking about starting or entering into the pet
Mhm.
industry? Any advice for them?
So, I mean, entering into the pet industry can mean so many different things, of course. Entering into any part of the service part of the pet industry is just know there's no days off. Yes, there's time off and you can go away. But what I mean is when you're working and you're busiest during holidays and summer times.
Mm,
So I am not going to schedule time off and time away during Christmas vacation
right.
during between August through Labor Day.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily make your own schedule, even though you do. You kind of have to follow the trends of when you're busiest, and the clients will tell you by their bookings what those trends are. So just don't expect when getting to the pet industry that it's going to be something that, oh, you have your own business making money and you're just sitting back. To do it
Right.
right, you really have to work hard and be hands-on and be involved. Like with our franchises, we don't allow absentee owners. We don't allow owners who live in Connecticut to run a location in, Long Island
Yeah.
County. They have to live in the same town. You have to be hands-on, and that's just really the way to do it. People love their pets, right? They want you to love their pets too, and they want you to be involved with them. And that I think relates to any part of the pet industry. They
Yeah.
know that if whether they're buying a product or you coming to their home, that you actually care about the pet. They want to see that you're involved and you're hands-on. You're not some just absentee, person running it
Yeah.
from afar.
I love that. I love that. It's so important. I really appreciate that advice, because a lot of people don't forward think, right? Especially if they're going to be a pet sitter, they're not thinking about the busy times. Maybe they don't want to work during the holidays or
Yeah,
during the summer. Then pet sitting might not
not
be
for
for
you.
you. Grooming might not be for
Yeah,
you, you know? So you have to think about those things. So, Robin, first of all, I want to tell you, I know this really doesn't have anything to do with your business, but I'm so happy for you. You were just featured in the Sunday edition of the freaking New York Times.
big face on the whole.
Yes, so cool. So if you guys were like, "Wait, she kind of looks familiar to me today," it's because Robin was in the Sunday New York Times with a really fantastic article about some of your conservation efforts for monarch butterflies. I wanted to give you a moment to talk about that, because I know how important it is to you, and I know you've been doing it for a long time, so I was so excited for you.
So now that my business has been more established and I have some more free time to do things I'm passionate about, because that's also very important to your well-being. Like I said,
100%.
I used to go work at the zoo. I'm very into animal and wildlife conservation. And so I used to work in the butterfly zone also of the Bronx Zoo. So I was always into butterflies.
Okay.
But I learned about the milkweed that was growing in the side of the highway. And for anybody that doesn't know, milkweed is the only food source for monarch caterpillars. And I would view like, oh, this is so amazing. There's caterpillars and butterflies. And then the next day I would drive by and it's mowed flat during the monarch season. So I was like, wow, they're all dead. So
Oh,
yeah, like that was terrible. So I started learning a lot about them, and I started by collecting the eggs on the highways that got mowed down, and we built like a whole outdoor habitat in the backyard and raised them from caterpillars to butterflies and released them. And then the project grew, and I started working with New York City Parks and Department of Transportation (DOT) to be able to
amazing.
X some of those roadsides, rope them off, and they now text me before they're mowing for any areas they have to mow. So it's like an amazing, great project that I worked 4 really long, hard years to get to this point on.
Yeah.
And so the New York Times did a very amazing, beautiful article on the work conservation work I've been doing. So that
That's
made
so incredible. 4 years, I know it seems like a long time, but I have to tell you, you open everybody's eyes because even me, like I knew what milkweed was, but I didn't really pay that much attention to it until you were posting all the things you were doing with the butterflies. And my local park one year, they knocked down all the milkweed, and I was like, oh no. And somebody actually said something to the maintenance people there. It wasn't me, but somebody was very upset and said something, and now they never cut it down anymore.
That's amazing.
So it's really cool. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, is there, I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know what to
also
look for.
everybody in your yard's plant native. We don't need lawns and grass. Plant
Yeah.
native. It's great for the environment. It's great for maintenance. You don't have to do any care or watering or fertilizer. Off topic, but it's a passion for me. So
Yeah, I 100%
yeah,
agree because there's too much crap dumped on the lawns, which affects my dog's feet, right? So I am all about that. And we're on an island surrounded by water, so I wish that was actually illegal that you couldn't put all those toxic stuff down. But hopefully one day we'll get there. But congratulations again. We will put the link in the comment section for
awesome.
anybody that didn't see it because I was just so proud of you and so
Thank
happy
you.
for you seeing that. It was really cool. And the picture's really cool too.
Thank you.
So, in terms of your business, is there anything that I didn't ask you, anything coming up that you'd like to add?
I don't think so. Just I really want to tell everybody out there that has been really affected by COVID, which are even though, COVID is it's not over, but the main part of it, we still are, I'd say 50% down
Wow,
in business. We were 90%. So 50% is
it's
sounds
pretty
good.
good. Yeah.
So I don't want people to feel like they're alone or they're doing something wrong, especially in the service industry. Things are taking a long time to come back.
Yeah.
So I just want people to know to just do what you believe in and you're passionate about, because it really will show and make a difference in your success. You'll be successful if you have a passion for something because you're really believing it and working hard toward it. And don't worry if you have a setback. We all have setbacks. I have setbacks now. Everybody has setbacks.
Yeah.
And so even though you might know that, it's kind of nice just to hear it again from somebody who you may see as very successful like myself, that we still have struggles and we still have, a long way to go to come back from all of that.
Yeah.
And I want everybody to take a pet CPR and first aid class because it's very important. It's very fun. We're actually doing a staff training for Fido Fitness Club, which
Oh, cool.
coming up. So that's really great. But if you have any doggy daycare or grooming place or a professional or owner, just contact me or any other pet CPR through PetTech instructor to get your staff trained because it's really, really important.
It's so important. Well, thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate it because a lot of times people in the service industry, especially if they're a solopreneur, maybe have one or two people under them, they
Yeah.
could feel really alone in that with everything that's happened with COVID and the pandemic and how it has affected many businesses. So I really appreciate you saying that. So keep going, everybody, right? Keep making those strides and don't burn yourself out. Become passionate like Robyn has about something outside of your business. That's really, really important. Robyn, I am so happy that you were able to come on today and share everything that you've been doing and what's up with you. And good to see you. Hopefully, we'll see each other in person soon.
Definitely. Thank you so much. It was amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day.